tragic events of the 1930s were a precursor pretty much for violence, war, and poverty. Um, the Great Depression in the 1920s was carried on into 1930s, and pretty much the Great Depression put fathers left their children. There was like 30 billion lost. That was 25% of the work, and the labor force was, that's pretty much like 4 million people unemployed. And pretty much that set the stage for violence and crime. Crime because pretty much everybody was stealing, they were robbing, they were, the kids were going out trying to steal, but to steal for food. Some examples are like the Lindbergh kidnapping, and that was for the ransom kept going up and up and up, and that pretty much was not really an excuse for it, but somebody didn't have food, somebody, had nothing. The Great Depression, so they decided to just, have a ransom note and kidnap somebody because they targeted a very rich, wealthy person. And then the crime, pretty much, it was just circled around like the poverty and the Great Depression. And so then the concentration camps in 1930 were just being built. So there was one built concentration camps, while America and all of us were so oppressed by the Great Depression that nobody really seemed to notice, nobody really seemed to care, and nobody was going to do anything about, one concentration camp. But that is what led to, the Holocaust. That's what led to it. And that it didn't happen all of a sudden. It happened because in the 1930s, everybody was so concerned with crime, poverty from the Great Depression, and nobody really realized it. And so during that time, Hitler was kind of making his way, making concentration camps while we didn't even realize. And then he pretty much had Nazi Olympics, which kind of was, I think, kind of to cover up what they were actually doing, which was anti-Jewish groups. And so that was what pretty much led to that. And everything was kind of a platform for what was going to happen with everything. And so now it still makes sense, and we think that the tragic events just happened all at once. But the 1930s was the precursor for it. It was pretty much the platform for it to, kind of like, it went from one concentration camp where nobody knew, and then before anyone realized it, it was concentration camps. It was, Jewish people being oppressed and poor and being, put through so much. And we had no idea, because everything was with the poverty and stuff like that, it was kind of like a cover-up. So all of that happened, we can't say that, all of these concentration camps and the Nazis and Hitler, they weren't just all at once. It was pretty much, all at the same time, but nobody seemed to notice, especially with everything that we remember today. You gotta have to realize what these people were fighting for and what these people didn't understand. I'm not saying that it's an excuse for somebody to do these things, but the Great Depression kind of set it off. And, we as humans, we would definitely try and get food if we didn't have any. If we're poor and, we have no food, I think that some people will go to great lengths. So, in conclusion, we really can't say something happened all at once. It kind of carried on from the 1930s, and that was when everything really was, nobody knew anything about it. So, thank you.